Hey guys, I'm wearing my Wish shirt. You know what this means.
Wish, your wish is on my list because your wish is what I miss because your wish is on my list of the best things in life.
That's right, it is your wish is on my list. Now, if you're new to the show, this is an episode where I collect random crazy lures from the discount shopping site Wish.com, which if you've never been to Wish.com, absolutely check it out. It's this weird site where you buy this crazy stuff that they make in China, and it's incredibly cheap and you never really know what's on there. It's always an adventure, I'll put it that way. But what I've done is I've gone on the discount shopping site Wish.com and come up with a collection of lures that I've been saving, just waiting for an opportunity to take it out in the water and see if we can catch some fish with them. So I've got a couple good ones. That's enough of me talking. Let's go try to catch some fish. Oh man, that thing hit it as soon as it hit the water. All right. All right. That's not a bad little fish. Look at him. Look at that. All right, guys. That is off the $1 Wish Whopper Plopper. Let's get it back in the water. And now it's time for tackle roundup. All right, guys, look at this bad boy. What I caught that fish on was this. Look at that. It is a knockoff Whopper Plopper in this crazy, like a fire tiger type coloration. Look at that. That fish, I think, would have basically bit anything because wasn't really even working the lure, because it just hit the water and I started reeling and it was already there. But that's what it looks like. The paint scheme on it is actually pretty good. This is actually, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the second time I've tried to use this lure. The first time I took it out, the thing is so cheap that the tail fell off. Like the tail, it just flat out like fell off and I had to glue it back on. So I had an abbreviated use of this lure like the first go round. Now that I've super glued it back on, I'm now using it. It's again, it's a Whopper Plopper. It's a topwater style bait. You just crank and reel just like you would a normal Whopper Plopper. This one, I distinctly remember that this was $1 on Wish. Ow! I distinctly remember it was $1 on Wish.com because they had several different colors, and this was the only color it was my least favorite color, but it was $1. And this was the only, basically all the other colors were more money, but this one was $1. So that's what it looks like. You can tell it's not the river to sea Whopper Plopper, but definitely a knockoff variety. But that's what we're using today. And that concludes today's tackle roundup. There we go, come on. All right. Look at that little guy on the Whopper Plopper, the faux Whopper Plopper. A lure that I'm going to call the Whopper Plopper. Actually, it doesn't really work that well. I'll come up with something else. But in the meantime, let's get him back in the water.
Well, I ain't got no money.
Well, he ain't got no money.
And a slap run out of beans.
And a slap run out of beans.
And the kids are getting hungry.
And the kids are getting hungry.
I can tell you what that means.
I can tell you what that means.
River rats
River rats
and cooler stew.
and cool stew.
Baby, that's
Baby, that's
what I'm cooking you.
what I'm cooking you.
River rats
River rats
and cooler stew.
and cool stew.
Baby, that's
All right. Look at that. I don't know why that one actually scared me a little bit for some reason. Not huge, but a nice fish there. He's got that kind of like that big bump on his head, you know, like the Peyton Manning head. Look at that. Man, your wish is on my list. Look at that. Man, I'm having a good time out here with that little Whopper Plopper. But let's get him back in the water.
well, I ain't got no money.
Well, he ain't got no money.
And a slap run out of beans.
And a slap run out of beans.
Well, guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day for this episode of Your Wish is on My List. This is this little Whopper Plopper knockoff thing. Thoughts on this lure? It's not a good lure. We were able to catch fish on it, so mission accomplished. Let me kind of give you my insights on it. The hooks are actually surprisingly good on it. Most of these wish.com lures are not, the hooks are pretty terrible. These are actually quite sticky, which is nice. I don't think that they will last a long time, but for straight out of the package and wish.com standards, they're actually not bad. Not bad hooks. The action on the lure is actually pretty decent. I mean, you can cast it a good long ways and it plops along the top like it's supposed to. So that's good. Those are the things that I like about it. Now, the things that I don't like about it, as I alluded earlier, the tail fell off the first time that I did it. This plopper tail, it fell off and I had to glue it back on. So if you buy this $1 lure, go ahead and budget in for a $1 package of super glue, because you're going to need it, because the tail is going to fall off. Also, I don't really care for the coloration on it. Now, don't get me wrong, the paint job is good, but of all of the colors that are available on Whopper Ploppers, this is probably like my least favorite, that fire tiger style coloration. I mean, I prefer either doing a white, more of a natural style color with like a white or a black, or even in really clear water, like a clear. So you couldn't get any of those colors for the $1 version. Just the overall construction of it, you can tell it's pretty cheap. It is definitely not the quality of the river to sea Whopper Plopper. It's just a very cheap plastic, but at the same time, it's $1 and you can catch fish on it. Again, it's not a very natural lure, which I'm going to give you my opinions on something, and that is, I think that like fishermen just in general give fish entirely too much credit. You know, I hear these guys are like, oh, I'm using this lure and I don't like this lure because you can see the hooks and I gotta be real sneaky. And I'm like, fish aren't that smart. I mean, let's be honest, that doesn't look like anything that occurs in nature. As it walks across the water, it doesn't look like anything that occurs in nature. The coloration, there's nothing that is like that in this particular pond. Fish are just stupid. Just being honest with you. It all boils down to, when it comes to fish, it is a calorie in, calorie out calculation. You know, that's, so long as your lure looks reasonably like something that would occur in nature, some kind of natural forage, it's really at that point just a calculation of, is the food going to be worth, is the juice worth the squeeze, is the best way to put it. So that's what the fish is doing. It's like, is that food going to be enough for me to go chase it down? So, well, anyways, that's what we're using. But I had a fun time using this lure. The thing about the wish.com lures is they're very difficult to find because their descriptions are really bad, like the make and model and stuff is really difficult. But I will leave some information down there to try to get you to the lure and find it on Wish. But while you're down there looking at that wish.com information, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. The channel, it is updated every week with new fishing content and new fishing adventures. So I'll be seeing you next week. This is Josh, and this is Abide Fishing. Hey guys, look at this. There's like a minnow. There's like a minnow feeding frenzy. I don't know what all that junk is, but they are loving whatever it is though.